I love in the first reading where it says, "As high as the heavens are above the earth, so high are my ways above your ways, and my thoughts above your thoughts." It's so important for us to have this humble recognition that the mind of God, like his ways, his plans, are always going to be still a little above what we can fully understand. And so in life, we can grow to understand more and more about God's divine plan, but still, again, the mind of God is always going to still be higher and above. An analogy of this growth to understand more would be similar to how, as children, especially young children, it's hard for us to understand why our parents do certain things, like take us to go get a shot if we need a shot, or tested for different things we might be allergic to, other things that just in life, at first we don't understand, and then later in life we come to realize, oh, that's why my dad did that way, or my mother did this. And so we can grow in our understanding, but then even so, even though we can in time see how the Lord's moving, why he does certain things, allows certain things, still the Lord's ways are always going to be slightly above and beyond what we can fully comprehend. And so, when we take into account who God has revealed himself to be, a God of love, again, the cross, our Lord Jesus Christ came and gave his life for us, a God who loves us. Therefore, even though his thoughts, his ways are way above, and we can't fully understand, since we know he's a God of love, we should have trust in him. We should have confidence in him. And confidence is the central theme to St. Therese of Lisieux, St. Therese's little way. And so when her older sister, who was the Mother Superior at the time of the Carmel, when she asked St. Therese, close to St. Therese's death, she asked her, "What is this little way that you speak of?" And she says, "Mother, it's the way of confidence and total abandon." The way of confidence and total abandon. And so what I'd like to do now is give a little kind of scope of St. Therese's life, and then speak directly again about her way of spiritual childhood. It's called at times her little way. So St. Therese, she was born 1873 up in Normandy, France. And so first off, in like 2 years, more or less, 2 years, 3 months will be her 150th birthday. I don't know what we're doing yet, but we're going to celebrate, okay? So, sesquicentennial birthday of St. Therese coming up. Again, in kind of Normandy area, born in Alençon, then moved to Lisieux when she was about 5 years of age. She had 8 older brothers and sisters. 4 of them, sadly, did not survive past infancy or childhood. Her other 4 older sisters, eventually all, along with her, became religious sisters. 4 of them at the Carmel in Lisieux, and then Léonie, I can't remember where she ended up landing. She went to a couple different orders at different times. Their parents, Louis and Zélie Martin, are both canonized saints as well. Zélie, she was the main breadwinner for the family. She was a lace maker, so with some nice fabric lace. Louis was a clockmaker. When Therese was only 4.5 years of age is when her mother passed away. At that time is when they moved to Lisieux to be closer to her cousins on her mother's side. And then, at that time when her mother passed away, Céline, the sister just above Therese, threw herself into the eldest's, Marie's, arms, saying, "Marie will be my mama now." And then Therese did the same, responded in kind, and threw herself into Pauline's arms, the second eldest. But just 5 years after that, looking forward to almost her first communion, and having Pauline prepare her for First Communion, Pauline felt called to the convent, and she went to the Carmel. So it was very hard for Therese at about 10 years of age to lose her second mama. And then she did do her preparation for First Communion, and then 5 years later, at the age of 15, she asked her father permission, and then her uncle, to go to the convent. Her eldest sister Marie was already at the convent at that point too, but she said, "I don't want to go there for my sisters. I want to go there for Jesus. The Lord is calling me there." And it was actually very beautiful that at the age of 15, because she was so attached to her dad, really she had a great love for her dad. He called her, "He's my king," that she was able to say goodbye to him, goodbye to Céline, the sister closest to her in age, her childhood companion, and go and live in the convent. And so at the age of 15 then, she received permission from the bishop, went to the convent. Her father's health deteriorated, and 6 years later, when she was about 21, her dad passed away. And at that time, Celine went as well to the Carmel. She had always felt a vocation to the convent as well. And Leonie, around that time as well, went to another order. And then just about 3 years after that is when Therese passed away at the age of 24 to tuberculosis. In the last year and a half or so of her life, her sister Pauline, who was the Mother Superior at that time, said to her, "Therese, sister, please write your memoirs, what you remember about childhood and your memories of growing up, so that we can have this for us when you pass away." And they wanted to hear about just her spiritual journey and stuff as well. And so you may have heard of her autobiography called The Story of a Soul. That's most of where that comes from Pauline asking her to write those memoirs. And then also Marie, the eldest sister, who is also Therese's godmother, she asked Therese as well to write specifically about this new way she speaks about, this way of spiritual childhood, this little way. And so that's another big chunk of what The Story of a Soul is. So after her death then in 1897, they began to print The Story of a Soul, and devotion to her spread like fire really quick. Much devotion to her quickly. And again, especially this focus on the little way. And so I'd like to give some background. We're going to rewind now. What is this little way? And so you may have heard, do small things with great love. St. Therese of Calcutta, for example, she has this same picture of St. Therese she had in her little cell in Calcutta. And so that's where she took her religious name from, was from St. Therese. And she said, St. Therese of Calcutta, "I can do no great things in this life, just small things with great love." And so that's very much connected to St. Therese in the little way, doing small, simple actions with great love. And that was very much in the milieu of the family life of St. Therese. They talked about it all the time. When she was getting ready for her First Communion, Pauline in the convent sent this big book that she had prepared for Therese to write down all the prayers and little mini sacrifices that she would make for Jesus in preparation for her First Communion. So you remember growing up, right, when our mom and our grandma would always say, offer it up, right? So you offer up different aspects of daily life for the Lord as a prayer. And so leading up to her First Communion, the 68 days before her First Communion, St. Therese did 1,949 small sacrifices. Wow, that's 27 a day. And then she did 2,773 short prayers, about 40 a day. So a little 10-year-old blows me out of the water with her devotion, but amazing, her focus, her attention to get ready to receive our Lord. And she said that each one of those things was like a flower for his garden as he came to reside in her heart in the Most Holy Eucharist. And so that was very much, doing small things with great love, was very much a part of St. Therese's devotional life and her growth and her religious life. However, this focus took a slightly different shape in the convent. So she recognized her weakness, her need for God's grace. And she said, "I am too weak to climb the stairway of perfection to become a saint, to get to Jesus, to communion with him." And she said, so the Lord, he's going to lift me up to himself. And so she used the image of an elevator. So evidently when she went to Rome at the age of 15 on pilgrimage, elevators were just beginning to be invented or something, I guess. In Rome, at least, they were there, present. And she said, it's going to be like an elevator. It's not me doing it, because I can't climb that stairway. The Lord's going to lift me up to himself. She says, I'm still going to do all my little actions, but my confidence isn't in my actions. My confidence is in my God, the Father who picks me up with his arms. And so she also said, it is confidence, and nothing but confidence, that must lead us to love. So it'll lead us to a life of love, to holiness. It's confidence, trust in God, ultimately, that does it. Again, we still do our part, but it's the Lord who in his generosity and his grace who lifts us up. So just another connection to our readings for today with the workers in the vineyard. We would expect with human wisdom that if you work longer, you get more. But this generous landowner gives the daily wage to even those who only worked an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. And so our mathematics doesn't really work. It's not about how much I did myself, but it's how generous the Father is. and he is going to bring me to Christ, to communion with Christ. And so that's the heart of the little way of St. Therese. Again, it includes doing small things with great love, but it's ultimately about confidence in he who loves us. And so again, our God who created us, all-powerful, his love shown to us on the cross of Christ, he gave his life for me. And so if this all-powerful God who loves me looks on me in my need, he certainly will provide for me. He knows what I truly need, and so therefore, I have confidence in him. Perhaps you've noticed in my closing intercession prayer, I almost always say we make all our prayers with confidence in your goodness and love. I'm going to be speaking about confidence probably for the rest of my life because this has so impacted me, St. Therese. And so just a practical little application then of this confidence in our lives. When anxieties continue to grow, when due to COVID, sickness, it touches your life, makes you fearful, anxious, perhaps mourning the loss of loved ones, when your financial stability for your family is in jeopardy, whatever personal issues you might have in your own spiritual struggle against sin, or in family relationships, in your professional life, whatever difficulties, stresses you have, the political and racial tensions right now in our country, so many difficulties that we face. When those anxieties come upon you, remember that you are loved by an all-powerful God. Put your confidence in him. Know that he is with you. Know that he knows what you need. He knows you more intimately than you know yourself. And turn to him with that confidence of St. Therese. Again, we still put in our part, but ultimately we have trust. We open ourselves to him. And so for me personally, for example, just transitioning parishes during this time of COVID has been so unusual, so difficult. Time and again, I've just simply repeated to myself, I am loved. He is with me. My confidence is in him. I am loved. He is with me. My confidence is in him. Or the other prayer I constantly pray to myself is, Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. To put our trust, our confidence in him. That is what our patroness, St. Therese, St. Therese, desires. That we might know that he loves us, that he is with us, and that ultimately, at the end of the day, it's he who will provide for all our needs.